Hello again. It's been a while since I did a quick recording, and this time here I was actually not planning to do so, but I was just copying some pictures from my digital camera memory chip over to the hard drive, and then saw this picture amongst a bunch of other birds and fish. And I figured, oh, maybe we could use this as a quick exercise on how to isolate this. Right? And then sometimes it doesn't start directly with dog waffle. I might double click that and open it with my image viewer, which is earphone view, and simply select a portion of it. Right? I don't need to load the whole image if only a portion of it is of interest. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to click outside of it, paste it back in. So now I have just really a view of what I want. I might even do a Shift U to increase the contrast and the dynamic range, or not. I might do that in dog waffle, but let's first copy that over. So I'm going to do a Control C to copy that, and then switch over to Howler and click on the outside here to get the keyboard focus, Control V to paste it in. There's a couple of options, and I'm going to say replace the existing image. So that's going to create a new image. The dimensions are probably including some odd numbers, not always recommended. Let's see, image info. And no, look at that. I manually clipped and cropped it and actually fell on just even numbers, which is good. So now one thing I'd like to do is perhaps expand. First of all, I'm going to store it here. I'm going to store this image right there. Then I'm going to expand the dynamic range. That already adds a lot of extra contrast. Let's store that one too. And so how to select just the bird? I want to basically isolate it. Well, sometimes you think outside the box. Instead of selecting the bird, you select the rest behind it. And this is a really classical or evident one because it's such a bright background, probably all the same white or very close to it. So we can simply use the magic wand here in this case and select here. And it's going to show you the marching ants. It's also going to hide it or color it, tint it with the purple color here. And that depends on your settings. Under selection here, I have the marching ants showing, but also the overlay. Right? If I hide that, it's only showing the marching ants that you see here along the edge. It's also not a very crisp edge because there is a little bit of aliasing. It's a JPEG image with some compression, and so there is probably a benefit in having some anti-aliasing enabled on that search. So I'm going to go again with the magic wand, click here, and it's coming a little bit closer. I might want to increase the tolerance. I don't know, give that a try, about 10 or 20 or so. Now it's coming really close to that. Let's go again with the overlay. And so that way we have a pretty good selection on the outside. We're lucky in this case that it almost selects everything. But there are sometimes some places that are not selected, like the ones between the legs here. So I'm going to click that with the Shift key to add to the selection. So now I have two selections. And there may be more. There's like one here below the claw. So what I need to do is move that around a little bit. There's a move tool here. Scroll around the image. Oops, hold on. That's actually to be used differently. So I'm going to go undo this. So I'm back to the prior selection. There, you click and drag, right? You can also use a Control and Shift together. So as you do that, it moves around rather than using the current selection tool. And then that way you can also zoom in here and do another Shift click in this area to add that as well. So now we have pretty much all the areas of interest. We might want to save that selection. Store selection. So we just have a safe copy of that. Of course, it's not the background we want selected, it's the bird. So we will need to invert it and then replace it. So now we have the bird selected. And we do notice that we still have a little bit too much of that background on the edge here. We probably want to cut in a little bit more. So at this point, the selection being on the bird, we could shrink that selection, right? We could go to selection. Instead of expanding it, we could shrink the selection and perhaps by just 1 pixel, and that's already better. Maybe that's good enough. Maybe we don't need more. I would say let's give him a little bit of a weight loss program here and shrink it a little bit more. One more. There you go. So we're right on the edge here, And I think that will be a good selection mask for this bird. So at this point, well, first of all, let's store that. That will store both the RGB channel and the alpha channel with the selection mask, right? So you can actually, from here, you can go do a couple of things, including working with just the alpha, replacing the alpha if you lose it or something like that. In fact, there is something we probably will want to do also here, and that's to remove that, whatever that was, a chair or something like that, the back of a rock or something. We want to keep the claws. Oh, and there is one little spot we missed here too. So it's time to do some fine-tuning work, and perhaps still with the magic wand, right? We could do a right-click, actually shift right-click, undo that, shift right-click to remove that selection as well from the rest of the already selected parts or deselected parts. But now we also want to remove this part here, this background on which the bird is sitting. So I'm going to store this one right now so we can easily restore that. I'm going to also get a copy here, get alpha, so we have a stored copy here that's up to date. Just the alpha channel in this one here. And now this one here is easily selected with a couple of other things. We can deselect with the lasso, for instance, shift and select this way. That will add to the selection. With the right button, though, it will remove from the selection. Right? So you can use that to get some pretty large areas deselected, including all this thing here down here. So let's do this and maybe trace the claw here. So that's some of the selection tools that you'll want to use to get a better control of what actually gets selected and what shouldn't be in your selection. And there you go. Okay, we got pretty close here to what we want for the claw. Maybe there's a little bit more here. Again, I'm doing the right click here, with the right mouse button, doing the deselection, adding to it by using the shift key at the same time. And so I can do some corrective surgery here, so to speak, and gradually remove the parts that I don't want in the selection mask. And still with the shift key down. This one here I might need to come a little bit closer. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that it's not going to be we don't want to be too picky here. It's not going to be so important that we have it absolutely spot on, because very likely this bird is going to sit on something else when we use it in some composition. And that something else might be a branch, and there may be some flowers or leaves nearby and hiding part of his claws. So if there's any imperfections, or if there's anything that you cannot seem to remove or restore, don't worry about it. We'll just hide it. We'll just put a mouse or something in his claws. There's something furry like a mouse or a rat, and it will be hiding part of the imperfections. But anyway, something like this. Oh, actually, that one probably we want to keep adding here. Keep that. There you go. All right, so that's a quick way to get the bird isolated from the rest of the background and whatever he's standing on. And then at this point, let's store it one more time. Let's also store here, get the alpha. So we have a good selection mask that we could use if we needed to use it some more. And we can copy this entire thing into the brush, which will copy the color channel and the alpha selection mask. That's the inside of the bird. And let's go do that. Let's pick this thing up as a brush. Let's make sure before we do that we don't have any marching ants on the edges. And we might see that because we did the selection with the alpha, with the anti-aliasing enabled. So I would say let's go to the rectangular selection here, and again with the shift click and the right button, remove from that selection all the way to including that edge, right? We don't want the edge to be still part of the selection. We want that to be non-selected or deselected. There you go. So now we really have just the inside mask here, and that's the one we want to store. That's the one we want to keep here. Get alpha of that. Now we have I would say a pretty perfect selection mask. There's always a few more things we might want to do. a little bit of softening, some, as we see when we use it as a brush, like around here, there's a little bit of white showing. We might still need to fix that as well a little bit, but that really depends on, how you're going to use this. If this bird is going to stand in front of a dark background, yes, then if the bird is standing on a dark background or in a composition where there's something dark here in the background, then of course we would probably notice that. So we would want to fix that. In the brush, we have a tool. Where is it? Down here, pre-multiply correction, that will help. So we need to first pick this up as a brush. Let's go brush, copy selected as brush. Let's go store it. That, by the way, clears it here, but now we have it in the brush. You can see here it's attached to my mouse. And we could use that to paint with it. But most importantly, we'll store that brush in case we want to use it a number of times. So store and manage a copy of it. There it is. Never mind the aspect ratio. This here is a preview in a square, even though the original is more of a rectangular landscape. Then what we want to do is adjust, let's see, the size right now is 24%. Let's go back to 100%. Let's go and erase the background and stamp it down. So now we have a stamp mode here, freehand dotted. So we do a single click. First we need to get the keyboard focused, but then now we have a single click here. And so that looks okay here under the chin too, because it's a relatively bright background. But if you have the background very dark, let's say if I erase it to black, then you can even see here in the preview with the mouse, the image in the mouse, in the brush, it's got this. Let me go hide the brush image. You can see here it's got this bright part that we didn't fix in detail. So some of that you can quite often fix once it's in the brush. Let's see here, show this one. Let's go like this. Right, you can see the bright part under his chin. And what we'll do is we'll use the brush pre-multiply correction, and we'll make sure it's labeled as white and correct it with that. And that will, this one is too intense. That will sometimes fix it, but at this point we probably need to shrink the alpha a little bit. You can do that here on the this one here. I think there is a where is it? Transparency. There, key shrink. Right. So that will tighten it. In fact, there's a keyboard shortcut for that. Let's see, what's the keyboard shortcut? Transparency. Is that the curly brace? Oh. Maybe it's a square brace. You know what? I can't read that with my glasses and only one cup of coffee this morning. Let's use the curly brace for that. So Shift. Yeah, that didn't seem to do it. Let me get the keyboard focus first. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, so now with the Shift click here, every time I use it, it expands the selection, or it shrinks the selection. So with that, you can also quite often do that. And it really helps if you have a very large image in the first place, because then, once you use this image, especially if you have it in a much smaller scale, you're not going to notice any imperfections anymore. So let's go and store this one, store and manage a copy. Of course, at this point, you'll want to probably save either one of these two or both. You'll want to save them so as an image with the alpha channel. So when you go to the brush and save, you'll be able to save it as a Targa file with the alpha channel, or bitmap. PNG is recommended. So there's a couple of formats that you can use to save this as an image with the selection mask, the transparent background, so you can easily composite that back into some image, some scene. And in fact, to finish this, what I'll do is I'll just paint this thing all over here. So this will be Crow Canyon. I'm going to use this as an elevation map. I'm going to first store that image right there. We don't need the preview of the mouse, the brush right now. I'm going to keep that as the elevation map. So maybe simply go straight to GPU here, PuppyRay GPU, and look at this weird landscape. and see what we can do with that. Let's say we want to make it a little bit clearer. We don't need the anti-aliasing just yet. Let's see where the sky is going to be a good view. There, let's go down a little bit so we're closer. Like, let's see if we can pose that bird sitting on one of these posts. There. Want to put them there. Let's do a little bit of pre-filtering. There you go. So I'm going to put the bird probably on this post here or one of these here. And I want the sun reflecting in the background. So let's get the sun over there. Let me increase the wide angle here a little bit so we can see better where the sun is. There it is. I'm going to go make the sun a little bit bigger. So we have a large spot reflecting on the water. 234. There you go. You see that? We're going to go with the scattering a little bit darker on that color and a little bit more intense. Let's say 12. Caustics, a little bit of that. So that will add a little bit of light show here at the bottom. And then maybe just turn the angle a little bit like this. Do a little bit of compositing this way. And yeah, that'll be good enough. So now we do our final render. Actually, that was too early. We still need some details on the rocks. We could probably use some rocky look on that or some other. There, let's do riverbed. That should look better. Yeah, that will add some details on the surface of the rock there. And as soon as that's done, we can bring our bird back in. There you go. And so just turn the brush back on. There it is. Now, that bird is a little bit of a bluish tint. The rocks are more yellowish. The whole scene has very little blue. I would say we need to adjust that a little bit. So with this stored copy here, you can do a bit of change in the hue, saturation of value. There's a little bit of adjustment you can do to that. See here, it's definitely a different look. And whatever you like there, you know, make it yours, make it your own. So that's the value. That'll be a little bit darker. And then, of course, the size, you can either adjust it here, or you can also just go here at that level, the currently loaded one, and have that bird sit right there. I don't know where we want to put him. Let's not make him too small. There you go. Somewhere around there. So we need to make sure we are in the stamp mode. Stamp it down. Our first one doesn't take it. It's a matter of, oh, there you go. Let's put them right there. There you go. And there we are. Now, of course, there's a bit more we can do on the bird itself to perhaps darken it on the belly side, brighten it on where the sun is hitting it. There's all sorts of lighting adjustments we might want to do. But that's just a starting point. I wanted to show you how to get started with the selecting from that image. And that's what we did. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
You've seen all my shades, all my flaws, all my downs, and still wanna stay around. You've seen me fall, help me out, pick me up like 1,000 times, saying I would be alright. No